like, from like a social point of view.
Yes.
But the history, I think, is what we need
Oh,
to cover in. Where does
I
it come from, bro?
man, I'm gonna go to the duck duck.
Who's that?
The duck duck go.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. And
So
what did you pull up?
okay, so I got like this whole the website history.com,
History.com.
and basically what it says, I don't want to read the whole article. I mean, you
Okay.
can go and check it out yourselves, everyone out there.
History.com.
Amen. Okay, I don't know why I said amen.
But away, what does
But
it say there, bruv?
it says in the 21st century.
So, sorry, what are you reading now?
I am reading when chivalry was established.
Okay.
Okay. In the 21st century, the word chivalry evokes a kind of old-fashioned male respect for women. But during the Middle Ages, the code was established for much grittier reasons.
Grittier.
Yeah. At a time of routine military violence with massive civilian casualties,
Okay.
chivalry was an effort to set ground rules for knightly behavior. While these rules were sometimes dictated generous treatment of the less fortunate and less powerful, they were focused mainly on protecting the interests of elites. The development of chivalry went hand in hand with the rise of knights, heavily armored, mounted warriors from elite backgrounds. Starting around the time of Norman conquest of England.
Okay.
In 1066, so 1066 basically. The word chivalry itself comes from the medieval Latin cavallarius, meaning horseman. In the middle of the 11th century, the knight was not a particularly honorable figure. He's a hired thug.
Oh, hectic.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, so he's got horses, he's got armor. He's like a heavy tank,
basically.
So they were heavily armored and prone to violence. So yeah, I mean, it didn't really, the word knight has a whole lot of connotation to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't mean that they were always honorable. So yeah, I mean, you can see that it comes from a whole other history, of like knightlyhood and and all these kind of things. So yeah,
like in all the movies that they made, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. I'm shocked that I know all those names.
Come on, man. I mean, we all watched them.
Well, I had two sisters, and school was forcing us. But anyway, so all those Disney movies like painted the knights of those days as being very chivalrous and running to the rescue of women and all these things. So looking at the real history of it, I mean, we can dive into it further, but want to keep it limited.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So prior to taking the Knights Code, or what was it called?
Something like that. Yeah, the Knights.
They were actually quite barbaric, violent people.
Yeah, I mean, look, the term chivalry loosely refers to informal codes of conduct. Developed by European knights in feudal systems starting in the 12th century.
Okay.
And these codes differed based on region and time period.
Yeah.
And covered issues like whom knights should show mercy to and whom it was okay to attack.
Oh, hectic.
And in these feudal systems, knights worked in paid service to their lords and enjoyed social superiority to the serfs or peasants.
Ah, man.
So yeah, man, I mean, there's a whole lot to it, and people should actually just go and check the definition out and see what kind of historical connotation it has to it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, there was also like old historical not historical evidence, but the Knights Templar is also something that's linked to all of these things. But I don't want to go into that because
we know what they did.
It was a crazy history, to be honest. The Knights became, is it because of the Catholic Church that they had to take on this oath, or what would you say?
I haven't educated myself on this. haven't educated myself on the topic
Okay. Okay.
in detail, but
Yeah.
what I do know is that the Knights Templar were part of like a Catholic movement,
Okay.
um, and they were ordered by like high priests and stuff like that, to do things in the name of
They took
God.
their directive from them,
Yeah,
basically.
and
Okay.
everything that they were doing,
Okay.
they thought that they were basically instructed by God to do it.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, looking in a situation like that, who's to be blamed? Do you blame God for that, or do you blame the people that abused power? And as we saw in the history of um, chivalry,
Yes.
and looking at knights and the definition of like what it was to define a knight, um, sometimes it wasn't really honorable. So
Well, to be honest, before they took the oath, they did not protect their own, and then later they started to protect their own after taking the oath. So, in my opinion, the influence of the Catholic Church in that way can say has a positive effect on that. But we're not to be politically correct. It wouldn't be right to say that the Roman Empire or the influence of the Catholic Church on the world was a good thing as well.
yeah,
That wouldn't be a
yeah.
popular opinion, to be honest.
Nah, 100
100
opinions.
opinions.
100%.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
the thing is, man, at the end of the day, that's history. It
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Just like a whole lot of other stuff happened. We can't put that on God, man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, these knights served elites.
Mm.
So if they're protecting higher ups, and you have to be wondering who gave them the order.
Who gave them the order? Yeah.
And where did that order come from?
Mm.
Was it God? Because
It basically contradicts what they stated that the knights were working for. If they
Yeah.
were serving the priests,
yeah.
they weren't
And
serving
I
God.
mean, come on, man. Like, God did not instruct people to go and kill people,
Oh,
man.
yeah. This was basically after Jesus as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly. So
I don't know where they're getting that directive from.
Jesus out here telling you, hey, man, I'm here to free people.
Amen.
And then dudes out here.
Amen.
Yeah,
but
man, it's not cool.
As we were saying, that's the history of where chivalry comes from, the title.
Yes.
How the knights were not forced, but guided under an
oath.
Yes. In order to conduct themselves in a different way. So now that we know where it comes from,
the interesting part.
would you like to share with us, Ash?
So what do you think is required for chivalry to exist, Mr. Dane?
Well, one thing we can say is that chivalry is required in societies. I mean, the modern day version of it,
All right. So what is the modern day version?
Well, we spoke about it earlier, and then you pulled up a few interesting points about the modern way of describing what chivalry is in a civilized society, of course. Because I mean, we no longer have to worry about moving, migrating from different places to different places. We are actually living in a world that has been conquered in a sort of a way, and everything has been quote unquote peaceful, if you want to call it that. Like, well, when I say that, I'm referring to we don't have to be tribes fighting against each other. We now live in like in a situation where we can do business and live in a space and not having to go and be conscripted to go and fight in a war, to go and move to a different place and all these things.
All right.
Currently, I mean,
this is where the whole United Nations comes in.
Yes.
Everybody united now, everybody under one bracket.
Yeah.
So we all like at peace.
For now, of course.
For now.
But why I'm saying that is because this type of chivalrous characteristics are only applicable in civilized nations. Can't be in any other state that does not follow a certain set of principles. It has to follow a certain set of rules in order to work. But would you like to mention what modern day chivalry would be described? Because obviously it would be different to what the knights were doing.
Yeah, no, look, I think it's a whole bunch of like behavioral sets, of
Okay.
things.
Okay.
But I did go and do a bit of I don't know, just looking up and researching about
A
what
bit of
what
reading,
people,
yeah.
yeah, a bit of reading, about like what people would consider as modern
Hmm.
day acts
Okay.
of chivalry,
Okay. And what
which
did you
are
find?
which are relevant in 2023.
Oh, where?
So, number one,
Hmm.
giving sincere compliments.
Oh,
What do you think about that?
I think compliments are a good thing.
Okay.